We are part of a infinite expression of consciousness, all possibility, all potential. We are unique expressions of that. We come into the simulation to make a difference. And you pass through, you could call it a place of forgetfulness, an energy field of forgetfulness. And the idea is to remember, once you get in this simulation, where you come from and what there is beyond it. Let's just put this in matrix terms. You are in that other earth, because what the Gnostics described, I think they were spot on. I mean, I've come across the same theme, is that this simulation is a copy, a digital copy on one level of the prime reality, because this earth exists in prime reality. And it's on that higher frequency, that higher vibration, that much more ethereal vibration. And it's heart-centered, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, wonderful place, like creation in general overwhelmingly is. And so what they did was basically take a copy of that. And it's like taking a copy of a website. You take a copy of the website, the original website's still there. You've only taken a copy of it. And that goes on being what it was before, like this other earth is still an amazing, wonderful, full of love place. But once you've got your copy, you can now change the copy and you can do what you like to it. And what's been happening since this simulation was created is that it's been changed and changed and changed and changed to go further and further away from what I'll call it prime earth is, prime reality. And so you come in perceptually. You don't come in physically, you come in perceptually. And as you come in, the memories of prime earth can disappear. With some, you can still remember it, but they basically disappear. But much as they've tried, there is still a connection to out there, and it comes through here. And if this closes and you get pulled into only belly emotion and head thought perception, then you can become completely immersed in the matrix and see no other reality. Like the five senses, just see the matrix. But if you can open this, you open your heart, you retain that connection to out there. And the more you open it, that connection becomes more and more powerful. The more you break through the veil of forgetfulness and you start to remember. You start to remember who you really are, where you really come from, and where you really are in terms of the simulation. Just after the turn of the millennium, I just got so strong from somewhere. We're in a simulation, and the limits of it are the speed of light. And then 20 odd years later, scientists more and more in the mainstream are saying, well, actually, it does look like we're in a simulation. The head thinks, and it tries to work it out because it doesn't know. But the heart that's connected to beyond the simulation does know. And that's why intuitive knowing comes as a package. It doesn't come as a sequence of thought that reaches a conclusion. The conclusion comes in full. It's like, I just know. Oh, I'm thinking, I just know. That's the difference. And, you can remember, you can feel where we come from and the scale of love that's there where we come from. And we came into this simulation to try to break the stranglehold that this reptilian force, this distorted consciousness has on humanity. Once you start to feel these things and understand these things, well, it happens on many levels. There's that level. I just know what this could be, know what's out there, and how this is not how creation is meant to be. This is just a very, very dark place. So the Gnostics describe the same thing. But there's other levels too, which drive you on. When you can see where this sequence is taking people to get even more and more extreme in this simulation as they change the website, if you like, more and more and more and more from what it originally was, then you can't walk down the street and look kids in the eye. You can't look your own kids in the eye, your own grandkids in the eye. You have to do everything you can to make a difference. I'm driven by wanting to break the stranglehold that this force has on human perception. And I'm driven by wanting to know the truth. I don't want a statue. I don't want a round of applause. And if from the other side comes abuse and ridicule, that is all irrelevant to me. I want to know the truth, and I shall pursue it no matter what the consequences, because I don't even think about consequences. People have said to me, when you said that, didn't you know you'd get ridiculed? Well, do you know I'd work that out? But I'm going to say it anyway. I say to people, this prison that people live in, the fear of what other people think. If you live in a prison, like most people do, of fearing what other people think, you're not you anymore. Never mind handing over your self-respect, you've handed over your uniqueness. You're now molding yourself to become what other people think you should be. Where have you gone? We are part of a infinite expression of consciousness, all possibility, all potential, but we are unique expressions of that have made us what we are. There is no contradiction between seeing that we're all one, that we're all expressions, points of attention within an infinite whole, and celebrating the uniqueness of our particular perceptual point. And if you start fearing what other people think about you, you start editing yourself, you start censoring yourself. Shall I say this, or what shall I say so these people think I'm okay? Well, I don't care what those people think of me. They have every right to think of me whatever they choose to think of me. That's their right, that's their choice, that's their freedom. Freedom is not the freedom to have everyone agree with you. Freedom is the freedom for people to have their own opinion, whatever it is. But it's also my freedom to speak my truth, and I'm going to do so, and nothing's going to stop me. No level of ridicule, no level of abuse, no level of intimidation, none of it. Because once you open your heart to beyond the simulation, out into prime reality, then you lose the intimidation that comes with fear. Fear is not only the currency of control. Fear is the controller. This Wetiko consciousness, this inverted state of consciousness, this chaotic, distorted state of consciousness that's seeking to pull human consciousness into itself and assimilate it, is what we call fear. It is itself fear. And that's why when you fall into states of fear, you fall into the frequency of that which is fear, and the fear is what the Native Americans call Wetiko. It is fear. That's why this cult is so fearful constantly of exposure. It's why it wants to control everything, because its insecurity comes from a state of fear. It is fear. It's how fear came into the world. You talk to people out there who've been out there, they're not states of fear. This whole society we call human, which is the simulation, is founded on fear. Why? Because the consciousness that's behind it is itself fear. So when you open your heart, you move beyond Wetiko. Your frequency reaches a point that you're operating on that Wetiko can't touch. That's why it doesn't want love. That's why it doesn't want a society involving love. Because once you have love and joy, you're out of the layer, the frequency layer of Wetiko. And therefore it can't touch you, and it can't influence you, and it can't manipulate you.